From the Lower Colorado River Authority, this is Wavelength.
Hi everyone, welcome to the August edition of Wavelength. Well, it's Sunday morning. We're out here at Lake Travis where hundreds of volunteers have come out from all over the area for an unusual event. They're here to clean up Lake Travis, but this time it's not the shoreline they're going to clean up. This time they're going down under. Some 300 divers glided into the depths of Lake Travis to retrieve the debris of modern life. Items often cast overboard with an out-of-sight, out-of-mind attitude. But for those who come here to scuba dive, this trash is in their backyard, and they want it out of here.
And we found an engine that somebody had, I don't know, lost or thrown overboard or whatever of their boat. And then we also found a couple of toilets, some tires, motorcycle tires. Good condition, anybody wants them. I'm kidding. And a lot of batteries.
Since the lake's so low, we can find a lot of stuff that's obviously been underwater for a long time. But fishing poles and mainly tin cans and steel and old docks that people have thrown off the side. Lots of tires too.
This is the second annual underwater cleanup at Lake Travis, which was organized by the Friends of the Colorado River Foundation.
The divers came together. They came to us, the Friends of the Colorado River Foundation, wanting to give something back to Lake Travis. This is the clearest reservoir in Texas, and they really love it.
Wanted to do something for the community, plus you get to dive. I guess it's doing something good and feeling good about it.
Good excuse to get wet. Lake's down, water's clear. It's a good cause.
I wanted to have a chance to practice my diving, and I saw this in the Monday morning last year, and I thought it looked like a lot of fun. So I wanted to try it this year.
But you didn't have to have a mask and fins in order to help out. More than 200 landlubbers volunteered to do the dirty work of handling, moving, and sorting the tons of material brought up from the depths.
We have hundreds of divers. We have more than we have last year. I think the volunteers feel really good about the amount of trash that they're finding and what they're able to do out here, and that's really what's important about it. The fact that we are making a substantial contribution to cleaning out this lake, and that we've got lots of individuals involved and lots of businesses involved. It's really turned out to be just a fabulous day.
Of course, if we all disposed of our trash and debris properly, there wouldn't be a need for cleanups like this. But unfortunately, plans are already underway for next year's event.
The LCRA has always felt that the best way to resolve problems between employees and supervisors is through open and candid communication, and they've always encouraged employees to resolve problems at the very lowest management level. But sometimes issues can't be resolved, and that's where LCRA's new mediation process will come into play.
And basically what that sits down and says, is that the right parties will get together with a trained professional and get the matter resolved.
The mediation process will be private, confidential, and informal, and in the long run it will save the company money and resolve problems faster.
Another thing that will be a little bit different is that the basic decision-making process is going to stop with the manager in charge of the area. Ray Schwardner will make the ultimate decisions within Tensco, Daley Piling within Gensco, Joe Beal within Waterco, and Donna Brazier within the Water Services Company. And then you have Raymond Barker, who will, ultimately would be responsible for decisions that would be made within the corporate services area. Those are decisions that need to be delegated. I mean, these groups are working together as units. One question that will come up along the way, well, does that mean that Mark doesn't have an open door policy? No, I mean, I still have an open door policy. Anybody who wants to come in and see me can come in and see me. But even today, I'm not going to make a decision that your supervisor is supposed to make.
The new mediation process begins September 1st. Now here's Richard Gaylord to tell us about a very challenging project that was recently undertaken by TNSCO down in Bastrop County.
When electricity is produced at one of LCRA's power plants or hydroelectric dams, it feeds into over 2,000 miles of high-voltage transmission lines. These transmission lines deliver the power to substations, where our 44 wholesale customers then distribute the electricity to the homes and businesses they serve. Due to rapid growth and development in the Georgetown area, electrical demand has increased dramatically in recent years, prompting the LCRA to upgrade one of the main lines serving this area. As the construction process moved into full swing, a few landowners in the Bastrop Acres subdivision tried to stop the operation with legal action.
The original line was built back in the early 40s, the way I understand it, and it was built to serve Camp Swift, the military post. And since that time, the land has changed hands. It's gone from a military post to private ownership, and there's been debate and question about the legal rights of right-of-ways and those kind of things as the land changed hands. And so from all of that, we end up with a court order that says we can only work within a 40-foot easement. The judge granted us that to get the line in because of loads.
LCRA's line crews did a great job while being watched very closely by some of the neighbors.
So far, the neighborhood coalition here has been pretty nice about it. They haven't been mean to us, haven't been doing anything out of the ordinary. They nice, they wave and smile at us, and also they videotape us when we're getting close to the edge of the right-of-way.
Our goal after the litigation was filed was to try to get to that point where we could at least persuade the court that it was an important project to finish, to get it completed, to get it energized so that we wouldn't lose voltage across the entire system whenever the weather started heating up on us, which it now has.
The job was completed on time and on budget. So, on June 26th, TNSCO held a brief ceremony at the Sim-Gideon Power Plant in Bastrop to energize the new line.
I want to really express to you my pride in the organization and my pride in the job that you were able to do and responding to the needs of our customers and getting this line completed as we had hoped to get it completed and scheduled for this summer and this load growth, and to do it under the kind of circumstances that you had to work in and maintaining your work and your safety and the type of work that you do. Doing that all in that 40-foot area is amazing to me.
Good load. As soon as the line was put into service, it picked up an 80-megawatt load, showing again just how critical this upgrade was to ensure reliable service to our customers. It has been a busy summer for members of the TNSCO group, and they all came together recently for their first annual meeting to take a look back at the past year's performance and to plan for the future. TNSCO, the Transmission and Energy Services Company, has 420 employees and an annual operating budget of $20 million. Last year, TNSCO crews completed $30 million in improvements to the LCRA transmission system, both to keep up with growth and to improve reliability. All of this work is done in a joint planning process in cooperation with our 44 wholesale customers and will involve $230 million in improvements over the next 10 years. TNSCO manager Ray Schwertner says we all must remember that our customers are our most important asset.
There was a tremendous emphasis in this energy plan on our customers. And I know when I first came to the LCRA, there was some concern about who is this guy and why did we bring him in out of the customer group. Well, I think my main focus is to convey to you and others within the authority a customer perspective. And I think that you have responded well within the last few years to really pay attention to our customers. Instead of it being the LCRA way, Let's figure out what it is our customers need and show to them that we can provide that to them better than anybody else.
Special guest speaker, State Representative Leighton Black, told those gathered not to forget how important the individual is in the overall success of the group.
I will just say this. The LCRA is no better or no worse than you allow it to be. Period. And if you can get that mindset when you go to work every morning, when you're out in the public, you are ambassadors to this LCRA. They judge the performance of LCRA based on what they see you do and how you do it and the professional manner in which you do that. I cannot emphasize to you, and that's true for school systems or churches or communities or states or nations, the importance of the individual and understanding that you are important in what you do and how you act and what you say and how you perform determines your destiny of your company. So you're important.
Well, how you folks doing? I'm here in Austin, Texas today, high atop the Tom Miller Dam, which is located right here in the shadow of the LCRA General Office Complex, what some folks like to refer to as a house that Rose built. Some of you have been questioning me about wanting to know why you hadn't seen me on Wavelength here recently. Well, I tell you, we've been powerful busy over at Smithville. Built us a big floating bulkhead, and that's what I'm doing here today. Come look and see how that thing's doing. We put it in the lake on about June the 10th, and I remember I called my boss up and told him I was going to come help him put this thing in. And of course, I use the word help and watch interchangeably. And he said he thought that's a pretty good idea. He'd been wanting to make a helper out of me for a long time. Never did like that title. I used to have a helper work for me there in Smithville. I'll never forget one night we out on a little job, got there at the shop late one night and pulled up the gate. I flipped him my keys and said, "Why don't you hop out there and get that gate?" He flipped them keys back to me faster than if I'd have throwed him a live rattlesnake. He said, "You don't understand." He said, "I'm your helper." He said, "Why don't you get out there and you get that gate?" He said, "And if you have a problem," he said, "then I'll get out and help you." Now, I done just about the only thing you can do with an employee like that. I made him a supervisor. Well, I guess I better get on down and take a look at this bulkhead. So this is the old Supreme Commander saying, you know, if you ever see a turtle sitting there on top of a fence post, you might not have the foggiest idea how he got there, but you can be assured of one thing, he had some help. We'll catch you next time.
Hi, my name is Zachary Moore. I want to welcome you to the 1996 All Employees Picnic. Come with me and I'll show you all the fun things to do around here. Over here we have some spinning whirling thing called the tumbleweed, and it looks like these girls are getting quite a ride. Now we're at the Kids Midway. Let me show you some of the fun stuff to do around here. Right here is a sports arena. There is a spin art. And over here is a Velcro roll, and there's the bouncy run. Come on, let's go take a look at them. Hey, my brother John's about to come down the super slide. Let's watch him. Come on, John. Now we're over here at the frog jump. Kids try and make Mr. Kermit here go into the trash can and they win a prize. Now we're over at the Wheel of Fortune. Hey, Vanna, I'll be right with you. Now we've got to have something for the adults to do. So we're over at the horseshoe pit right now where we're having a tournament. Every year the LCRA has one of these big picnics where employees from all over the LCRA come with their families, and we have a really great time. We have a barbecue, lots of fun and games, and later on there's gonna be bingo. And after that, there's gonna be a great dance, and when it's dark, there's gonna be fireworks. And I'm really glad my dad works at the LCRA. Now I'm gonna walk into the haunted house. I hope it's not too scary. Whoa! Look at all these dead people! Whoa! This is hard! Whoa, that was pretty scary. Okay, now over here is a dip bowl, and what you have to do is you have to make the ball roll over the hill, but you can't make it roll back again. It's actually harder than it looks, but I've done it. I've done it about 12 times. I'm really hot, but fortunately, they put a mist tent here. What happens is, for one thing, it's really shady. Another thing, they've hooked a hose up to one of these lines, and it sprays a mist. It's really cool being here. Now we're over at the Water Wars. This is one of my favorite things to do. What they do is they're shooting water balloons at each other. It's really fun. Well, I hope y'all have enjoyed this tour. I sure hope that if you weren't be able to come this year, I sure hope you make plans for next year. Bye.
You may be polluting the water and the air and not even know it. Every day, tons of toxic household chemicals are being thrown out in the trash or poured down the drain. This week, News 36 is taking charge of the environment with household hazardous waste awareness. This evening, Russ Ray shows us it's getting more convenient for rural Central Texans to dispose of these materials safely.
Years of garbage.
Not sure where to take used oil, leftover paint, and chemicals? For years, the city's collection facility was the one place all Central Texans could go to get rid of these household hazardous waste safely. But it's become so busy, now this place is only open to City of Austin residents. Since the city no longer accepts these chemicals for people living outside the city, the state is now funding a program where they'll help your community organize a collection day. Now, if rural Central Texans don't have a place to go, the Household Hazardous Waste Mobile could come to you to haul away these chemicals.
We hold one-day collection events in like a school parking lot or something and collect the people's household hazardous waste.
And then the chemicals, you'll need to take that road to the left.
Rural collection days are also being held by the Lower Colorado River Authority up and down the river. It's expensive to dispose of antifreeze, pesticides, and oils safely. But the big turnout here in Columbus proves it's worth the effort.
Combustible.
So it appears that people have a place to go. Not as much of these toxic chemicals will end up going down the drain and in the trash. Russ Ray, News 36.
Well, it's pretty obvious to us how hot and dry it has been around here just by looking at our lakes.
That's right. It's been many years since the Highland Lakes have dropped so far. Well, this morning we're going beyond the headlines with a look at how the Austin area's main water supply could fare through an extended drought.
Boaters who have used Lake Travis for years have never had to drive their trailers this far down to put their boats in the water. Some people have never seen this much shoreline around the lake. This month, Lake Travis has been dropping about a foot a week.
Just not raining upstream. The whole watershed is dry. What rain does fall tends to get stopped in stock ponds or go ahead and get absorbed by the grass. So there's very little water coming into the lake.
Lake Travis is considered full when it's at 681 feet above sea level. Now the lake is about 30 feet below that at around 655. As drastic as that is, it still would have to drop a lot more to get down to Travis's historic low of 614 feet. That happened during the drought of the 50s. Water is still being released out of Travis because the Lower Colorado River Authority has downstream commitments to its water customers
and rice farmers for irrigation. Many who use Lake Travis for recreation are wondering why they can't just hold all the water so the lake doesn't drop so fast. But the LCRA points out the lake wasn't built for boating. It's there to manage floods and store the water for when it's needed, like right now in the middle of a drought.
Some people look at that and say, well, we see a lake that's dropping and going down. We don't look at it that way. We see a reservoir that's just getting ready for the next flood.
All right, and we're happy to have with us this morning from the Lower Colorado River Authority, the Chief Water Resources Planner, Dr. Quentin Martin. Good morning, Dr. Martin.
Good morning.
Nice to have you with us. Is there any cause for concern? I mean, we hear predictions of maybe we're only in the beginning of what could be a drought of many years about our lakes being able to meet our water needs here in the future?
Well, the Highland Lakes were designed to supply water during the drought of record for all our municipal industrial customers without any problem of having shortage. Now, a drought of record was the drought that happened in the 1950s. It's the most severe period of drought that we've had recorded since measurements started around the early 1900s. So from terms of cities and industries, we don't feel there's any real threat at all to their water supplies. Certainly, if the dry weather we've had this year continues on for a number of more years, then we'd have to reevaluate that. Our biggest concern really is going to be supplying water to our major water customers, who are the rice irrigators down on the Texas coast.
How are they right now? I mean, it sounds like it's a question of water management.
That's correct. Right now, we're not curtailing any of our major irrigation water users. What we have plans, though, in our drought plan is that at the beginning of 1997, we'll review our situation based on the amount of water we have in storage, and then look to see if we may have to have a curtailment of the supplies for the rice producers. We have a gradual curtailment philosophy in our drought plan so that we don't have a severe shock on that particular water using sector.
Now, I've heard people say, who use Lake Travis that, why, let all that water downstream? Shouldn't we be saving that up here in case the drought lasts longer? Why can't you do something like that?
Well, we built the lakes really to carry us through these kind of droughts. That's why we have them. It's not for recreation. The lakes were developed in the late 30s and early 40s, and these were intended for hydropower generation, flood control, water supply, and not really for recreation. Recreation has really grown up as a result of having typically average or wet years. We don't usually have dry years, and so that the industry is built up around that water being there.
Are there some things, though, that we should do to plan ahead? Is there some sort of conservation that we can do to help the lake?
Well, certainly any wise use of water is beneficial. I mean, we don't know how long the drought's going to last. It could even be worse than the drought of record if we go on a number of more years. So it behooves everyone, all users, to use water effectively. Certainly don't waste the water. That doesn't do anybody any good.
Now, I understand you have a booklet out now that you're offering to people out there free of charge that gives people more information on how you do manage a lake in times like this and other times as well. It's called Drop by Drop, and you can call these phone numbers right here if you'd like a copy of this. It's 800-776-5272 and 473-3235. Why did you decide to put this book together for the public right now?
Well, the Drop by Drop is basically a layperson's view of how we manage the water, where the water comes from, where does it go, what are the issues surrounding water use, not only in our basin, but also a lot of concerns about interbasin transfers of water to other areas of the state. And the information is available in technical documents, but you'd have to read through 200 pages of our water management plan to get it, and that's pretty hard even for me to do. I'm used to doing it.
All right, nice, short, condensed version, very understandable. Dr. Quentin Martin from the LCRA, we thank you for being with us this morning.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Well, that's it for this edition of Wavelength. We'll see you again next time.